Hello everyone, it's Sanet20 back again, and in this video we'll be building an analog clock using nothing but HTML, CSS and JavaScript. So let's get into it without any further ado. So first of all, we're going to create a div for the clock. That will be our main container. We're going to name it clock. And then inside it, we're going to have 12 divs. Each of them are going to have a class of number. And each of them are going to have the numbers inside. Similarly, in the class, we're going to have N1, N2, N3, so that we can track all of these labels for the clock. That's all of the labels for the clock done. And then after that, we're going to have 3 more divs for the arms of the clock. So we have the first arm, which will be for the second arm for the minute, third arm for the hour. If you now check in our webpage, we have just the numbers. So we are going to style it now. Make sure you have the CSS and the script linked in it. The script should be deferred, because if you're calling it in the head of the website, then it should be deferred, meaning that it should only run when all of the DOM has been loaded. So after this, we're going to give some basic styling to the body. First of all, we're going to give a background of hashtag 12, 12, 12, a nice gray color. And then we're going to align all of the items in the center using flex. We're going to give it a height of 100 view height and prevent its overflow. That's the basic styles given to the body. Next, we'll go on to the clock. In the clock, we're going to have the radius of the clock so that we can dynamically control the size of our clock, and the background color, which we can give something like red for now. So let's start by defining the width. The width will be twice of the radius. Give it an aspect ratio of 1:1 so that we have the same size. So we have it in the center. Next, we are going to give the background. And we have the background of BG color. And we're going to position it relative. We're going to apply the display flex on it as well, and align all of the items in the center, and as well as justify them. So now we have all of them in the center. Most importantly, we are going to have a border radius of 100%. Now it's more looking like a clock. Next, onto the number, we are going to give them a position of absolute, and we're going to translate them. We're going to translate them according to the x coordinate and according to the y coordinate. We'll define them over here, the x and the y. And now for the trigonometric part. So each of the n1s, which we had numbered from n1 to n12, are going to have some certain degrees, okay? Each of the degrees are going to increment by 30, obviously, because between each of the hours, there's a gap of 30 degrees, which will be fit for our clock. And that's basically how the trigonometric ratios will work over here. We're going to use sine and cos to align our number labels around the clock over here. So if you don't know how these degrees relate with the sine and cos, you can go and check out more about a unit circle. A unit circle basically shows how the sine and cos and tan values relate with the degrees inside a circle. So we will have the degrees for each of these numbers. The first one will be 300, then it will increment by plus 30, and then the next third one will be 0. After that, all of the following numbers are going to increment by 30. All right. Now we can start writing the X and Y coordinates. So for this, we are going to put a calc, and in the calculation, we are going to take the cos trigonometric ratio, and we are going to pass in the degrees. We're going to then do the same thing with the y, but make sure that we're using the sine function over here. You can see that the numbers have not spread out. And to make sure that they're spread out, we're going to multiply the cos and sine values. All right. So we're going to multiply the cos value in the x with the radius of the clock. And we're going to do the same thing with the y. Make sure we're multiplying them. And you can see all of the numbers have now spread out. But they may have spread out a little bit too much, so we can control them very easily by doing a short calculation on the radius. We can just subtract minus 20 pixels from the radius to bring all of our numbers inside. All of our numbers are now inside, and now let's give it some basic styling. Let's increase the font size by 20 pixels. Let's give it a font family of Arial. Let's change the color to background color. All right. In fact, let's change the color to white. Okay. Now let's go back into the clock, and we're going to give it a background of hashtag 12, 12, 12. And instead, we are going to give it a border of solid 5 pixels background color. Next, we are going to give some box shadow to it. We're going to give an inset box shadow of 0 pixels, 0 pixels, and around 10 pixels of blurring background color. So that's our inside shadow done. We can make it more intense, maybe 20 pixels will be fine. We get the red hue. Let's copy this and we'll place it outside. We just need to remove the inset, and maybe we can increase the blur by 100 pixels. Yeah, that seems a bit more fine. Okay. Now that is done. We are going to make the central part of the clock now, so that we can make the arms aligned with all of them. So we're first of all going to take the arms, going to give it a position of absolute, and we are going to give them position of absolute and a width of 10 pixels. And for now, let's give it a background of red and a height of 100 pixels just for now. All of them are now in the center. So let's change them. For the second arm, let's start with the second arm. Let's change its background to blue for now only, so that we can understand where exactly is the blue arm. Make it have the border radius. In fact, let's just go to the arm, and in that we can define the border radius 10 pixels to give it a curved border. Nice. We can now apply, back in the arm, we can now apply transform origin of bottom. Maybe let's try turning the second arm by 30 degrees. You can see our arm is perfectly over here, but it's not in the center. So we can try making a central part of the clock by using the after pseudo element of the clock. We'll give it a content of empty string. We'll give it a width of 10 pixels, height of 10 pixels, padding of 10 pixels, and a background of background color. We will now see it's in the center. Yep, exactly in the center where we wanted it. We're going to give it a border radius of 100%. All right, now what we want to do is that we want to align all of these arms in the center. So let's start by aligning our second arm first of all. So we're going to translate this. We're going to translate by 0 pixels because we don't want to shift the x coordinate. We want to shift it according to the y coordinate. So let's try 40 pixels first of all. It went downwards. Minus 80 pixels. Too much up. 60. Almost there. 50. Yep, that's close, around close. Let's just change the center part of the clock to be a bit more small. Yes, much better. And let's change the width of the arm by 5 pixels. That's much more fine. Now the second arm, as we all know, is a bit long. So we're going to change the height to be 60 pixels, suppose. That's too short. Let's take around 150 pixels. Okay, and now we need to, maybe we can make it a bit more short. 100 is too short. 120, 130, 150. Let's just stay with 150. Now we need to realign it. So let's increase this by minus 60 in the translate. Minus 60 is not working. Minus 80. That seems fine. Okay. Now for the z index, let's just change the z index of all of the arms. Or maybe we can change the z index of the clock after pseudo element to be 999 because we want it to be on top of all of these arms. So the second arm is done. We'll just copy this and place it for the minute arm. Let's just give it a random rotation so that we can see where it is this minute arm. So it's over here. Let's make it 100 pixels height. That's too short. 130 pixels. Maybe 120 is fine. Or 130 pixels. Okay, 130 pixels. We're going to translate it by minus 60. Minus 60 doesn't work. Maybe minus 50. Okay, minus 70. Around minus 70. Minus 75. Okay, minus 65. Okay, that seems to fit. Lastly, we are going to change the hour arm. Let's just give it a random rotation of 180 degrees. Okay. And let's decrease its height to 100 pixels. Okay. Let's push it down a bit more. That seems to be fine. Now for all of them, let's just remove the background color because we know exactly where all of the arms are. So we're going to remove the background color and we're going to put it inside the arm. Inside the arm rule, we're going to put the background color of BG color. And now for each of these three rule sets, we're going to add 3 more custom properties. So for the second rule set, we're going to add second degree. Currently, it will be 180 degrees. And let's do the same thing for the minute. Let's make it minute. And then for the hour, let's make it hour. All right. Let's just shift the hour a bit more down, maybe 55, minus 55. Okay, that seems to be going well. Next, we're going to place in the rotate variables. So for the hour, we'll have the hour degree. And for the rotate, we are going to have minute degree in the minute class. And then in the second rule set, we're going to have rotate. We're going to have the variable of second degree. Okay, so all of them are at 180 degrees. Transform origin. Let's turn it transform origin to top. All right, all of them have moved up. Okay, so let's just move one by one down. -60. Maybe it was -80. Let's just invert the sign. That seems to work. Let's invert the signs for all of the others. Yes, so all of them are now 12 o'clock as we expected. So make sure that for all of them, we're having the default value of 180 degrees because we're going to shift the clock according to that. So next in the index.js, we're going to create the JavaScript for our clock. So first of all, we're going to have a set interval, which will be called every second. We'll call set clock function every second, which will set up our clock every second. So we're going to have a function of set clock. And we're going to, first of all, calculate seconds degree. We're going to add 180 with it, plus new date dot new date dot get seconds divided by 60 multiplied by 360. So we're dividing it by 60 to get each and every millisecond of it. And we're going to divide it by 60 to get each and every minute of it. And then we're going to multiply it by 360 so that we can convert our seconds to degrees. Make sure we add 180 with the clock because that's the offset of our clock over here. Currently they're at 180 and then we're going to add into this so that they'll rotate around the clock clockwise. We can check this now by accessing the document.query selector, our second arm which we had created. Dot second. We're going to change the style dot set property. We're going to have the second degree set to seconds degree plus the degree. Okay, so it has added into it full 160. All right, so if we go and inspect this, okay, so the values are a bit incorrect. Multiply by 360. Or we forgot to call the function. Make sure you call the dot get seconds function. And now if we check it, our second is now moving correctly. Nice. Yes, it's moving correctly. Now let's style all of the other hands. That's going to be very easy. Just going to copy it. We're going to change the seconds into minutes degree, and then this one will be the hours degree. For the minutes, we're going to change set minutes divided by 60, multiply by 360, and then again we're going to do for the hours. But for the hours, we're going to divide by 12. As there are not 60 in the hours, there is 12 hours. Again, we're going to multiply by 360 as that's the way we convert the time into the degrees. For all of them, we are going to set the document. Okay, the second dot minute dot hour, and finally minutes hours. Okay, and that should be it. And that's correct. It's 5:59 accurately. But there's a slight mistake over here. Let's just align our, which one is this? Seems to be the second arm. Let's try fixing our second arm. So we can translate this by 80. This was 80. We can translate it to 70. No, maybe 75. Yes, 75 seems fine, and the hour as well. Let's just make it 50. Yes, 50 seems fine. So that's all of that done. Now let's add one extra thing in this. One final thing, and it's the cherry on top for this clock over here. We're going to define a function that will be convert angle to color. We're going to give it the angle, and it's going to return us a string literal in which we're going to have the angle with the percentage along with 50% along with 50%. This is in fact the format for the HSL, where the first value is the hue, second value is the saturation, and the third is the lightness. You can change around with the saturation lightness, but for now we'll just tamper around with the angle. So we can now finally add one more document dot query selector dot lock, and similarly we're going to style it, and we're going to access its property of background color, and that will be convert angle to color, and we're going to add all of the degrees inside it. Seconds degree, hours degree, and the minutes degree. Make sure we're adding all of this. Okay. Seems to be a problem. Let's just change this from the percentage. Okay. Let us do one final change to it. Why is the color not showing? We're having a background color of 110. Maybe we can divide the angle by 360. All right, that is still not working. Is there a problem? Maybe there's a problem with the BG color. No, the BG color is fine. We can set this to suppose 12. No, we are not getting it. Okay. I get what's wrong over here. In the format was HSL, right? In the brackets. Okay. So that's what we were missing. We just had to encapsulate all of this into HSL. And then inside the brackets, we're going to give the percentage. Now, if we check, what if we remove the percentage? There we go. We just had to remove the percentage for the hue. For the rest of them, we can keep as it is. And now we can see we've got this nice gradient color for our clock. Okay, so final changes to this we can do is that we can add into the hours degree, the minutes degree, so that the hour gradually changes into the minute. Otherwise, it would jump between hours. Okay, so make sure we divide the minutes degree by 60. Yes, that's correct. Now this hour hand will slowly and slowly change onto the next hour. So that was our HTML, CSS, and JavaScript clock. Hope you had enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.